What's up, guys? This is Panic Knife here with theawfulgamer.com, and today I'm back playing a little SimCity, and I'm going to show you how to make a relatively simple and yet extremely profitable city with basically with mining and then through electronics. This is the way I actually got over 100 million on my other cities, so I'll do it again and show you how it's done. So let's go ahead and just pick a random region that just kind of shows that it's brand new and it's not region specific, and that's we'll go ahead and show you how to start it up and then show you how to do it, and it's pretty easily replicable, I guess is the word, and hopefully you guys will check it out and try it yourselves, especially if you're starting out a new region. It's a good way to do it. The awful region is what we'll call it. Private region, not sandbox, so that's another reason why I did it back in here from the start of the game, so you can see that I'm not cheating. Okay, let's go ahead and I don't know. Let's pick. I'd like a city with raw ore. That's the easiest way to do this. There's a decent one. I don't really like that cliff too much though. Let's see. That might be the only one I can really pick. Let's pick this one. Now, I have absolutely no idea where in the city the ore is going to be, so that should be kind of a fun little challenge, but we will see. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this on a brand new region and not one of the regions I've already been building is because I don't, it's not necessary to have all the city upgrades and stuff like that, and kind of trying to show you that it's definitely helpful. Don't get me wrong, but okay, so this is actually kind of interesting how it has all the ore on the other island, and we started off over here. So what I will do, I know exactly how I'm going to do this. Cool. So let's go ahead and start by building with avenues, because avenues rule. We'll start out by building the first little thing there, and I will probably spend a little more money than I would have liked, but I want to build a kind of a bridge out to nowhere, and that will be where I do my industry. So I actually didn't need to build it right off the bat, but that's okay. Well, obviously this will be my closed loop over here, for the mining and that sort of stuff. But we'll start out by pulling this out here and building a power plant. I actually want to see how much what the wind direction is, just to give me a good idea of how much or where I'm going to be polluting. Excellent! It's actually back towards the front of the map, so that's not a big deal. So let's go ahead and place our power plant. I've already spent quite a bit of money, which is not optimal, but not the end of the world either. I'm not going to really upgrade this one too much, so we'll go ahead and just build a coal. Because we're gonna be running out of money soon, I'm going to go ahead and start with the residential areas. Straight area right there. But just make it a boxy little city. This isn't going to be too complicated. Like I said, this is kind of just more of a test region anyway, and since we're basically just purposing this out to build with high-tech industry, we'll go ahead and build up our industry, or build up our population a little bit, and create a situation where we can start with the mining and that sort of stuff. Now, as you can see, I actually used a little bit more money than I would have liked. I went ahead and blew out my bonds early, just because I wanted to make sure we can start this up as quickly as possible. This road over here, like I said, is going to be my closed loop for industry. This isn't going to be any kind of a pretty town at all, really. We're going to mostly focus on this area right here being the industrial area, this area right here being the residential area. We'll go ahead and increase density as the population grows, and hopefully we'll have enough money to start off with our mining industry. Now, as you can see, we've actually been placed with a little bit of an interesting decision here, because I have the option to either do ore or coal, because there's a coal deposit right there on the other side as well. I think depending on how quickly I'm able to make the money, I might end up going with coal, just depending, or it just really depends on how much it costs for me to go ahead and build that avenue out to there. Actually, might end up doing 2 loops, one of them for the coal and one of them for the ore. But for this tactic, you're going to want to focus mostly on one of the two, just to start out. Because one of the reasons why we're doing it this way is that we're going to quickly build the headquarters and all of those buildings so that we can get through and start really doing the fun work. So let's name our city. Well, we'll call it Panic Knife's Playground. Playground. Oh well. Now I might have a little bit of issues here expanding the town hall. If I do, we'll adjust it at that point. One of the things I didn't really want to happen that did happen is that these people right here are being affected by the sewage outflow pipe. We'll eventually get past the point where we need a sewage outflow pipe, but for now they're just going to deal with it. That's how it goes when you're the mayor and they're the plebeians. So we'll go ahead and zone out a little bit more residential. And then we will start to hopefully be rolling in enough cash that we can begin our mining process. Alright, so I got a little impatient, and now I'm going to go ahead and just start out by building my first coal mine. I'm also going to have to build a trade depot. I can't quite afford it yet, but we'll let the ore build up a little bit while I wait for that. So let's go ahead and basically just sim it out as long as we need to in order to get the resources and that sort of stuff in order to continue forward. Alright, so as you can see, we now have the money in order to place the trade depot. That's going to help us export the ore from the mine, and that will obviously help us make it so that the stock doesn't completely fill up the mine, which that's pretty much the biggest limiting factor early on in mining. So let's go ahead and keep this game on cheetah speed as much as possible, or llama speed, I guess is what it really is, because they had to disable cheetah speed obviously this week because of the server issues. It's one of those things where you play with the online DRM and this is what happens. So unfortunately that's kind of what we have to deal with, but it's not the end of the world. Now this is a big one. Make sure that once you place the lot for the raw ore, you do the manage global market deliveries and export right there. That's going to be more, even this little bit of raw ore, that's going to be producing more money than anything you can do in early game in terms of taxes. I had at City, actually showed it to you, the Some Awful City thingy that I was running before. If you are new to the series, go ahead and check out the playlist. I believe I cover it in videos 1 and 2. That city, which was completely developed and very well efficient in terms of how many people it had in it, and the industry is very efficient and all that sort of stuff, and really no traffic either, which is pretty awesome for what ended up being a 200,000 person city. It's still, it was only making like 15K an hour, something like that. So we're talking about 5K an hour, maybe a little bit longer than that once, or until we get the mine fully up. But it's way more efficient than any of those kinds of things in terms of selling and making a good income. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to keep them all out here on this avenue over here. We can probably build 3 or 4 of these plants, which will help us pretty much make it so that we don't have to worry about money really ever again. Once we get out to such a big lead in terms of how much money we have, it won't be that big of a deal. Now our next goal is going to be upgrading the ore mine so that it produces ore very quickly. I'll put a second mine over here, and once these both have 4, I don't even know what they call them. 4 what are these things? Extractors maybe? Shafts. Yeah, we'll go with shafts. Once each of them has 4 shafts, this process will speed up quite a bit. So now we have a completely upgraded mine. That's going to help us out by being able to ship a lot of this over to the trade depot as quickly as possible and producing enough ore to hopefully upgrade us to the metals HQ. That's what we want to get. We want to get that metals HQ so that we can upgrade it and get over to smelting. Once we hit smelting, we can start looking towards other ways of upgrading our city. And we're already going to be making quite a bit of money off of the alloys there. So that's one of the biggest steps that we're going to take in this game here. While I wait for this to basically get up to 95 tons per day, which is, I believe, what the amount you have to extract per day in order to get the HQ, I'm going to upgrade a little bit of the rest of my city, just hopefully increase some density and make sure that that the power's on and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully we'll be able to add some services as well while we're waiting. Basically, we probably won't hit 95 today just because of the fact that we ran out of water for quite a long time there. These things do suck quite a bit of water, so be mindful of that. But as long as we don't have any major problems in the next day, I see us easily hitting 95 tons. And then that's when the fun starts, because we have to increase our profits to, I believe, 350,000 per day or something insane like that. And there's actually a trick for that, and I'll show you. So as you can see, our city had more than enough with just one mine right there that was fully upgraded. It has more than enough capacity to produce the metals headquarter in just one day. I mean, we are only at 745 and we already have the metals headquarter unlocked. So it doesn't take a whole lot of mining in order to unlock this headquarters. And from there we start to build some of the more interesting buildings, which include the trade headquarters and a few other things. So we will obviously have to wait to grind out that 37k. Once we do, we'll be able to continue onward. Alright, so now we have enough to build the metals headquarter. Let's go ahead and place this on this side of the road so that we can continue to update it, and also because of the fact that we have an additional metals mine on the other side of the road, so let's just stay away from that. Our goal here with the metals headquarter is to get $160,000 of metals daily profit. Now, yesterday, as you can see, we made 75,000, which is decent. You know, it's not that bad, but it's not going to do. We're not going to be able to make the 160 with just one mine here and without doing anything else. So what we're going to want to do is create another trade depot. Now, it's not just a matter of, you know, placing trade depots and being good to go. That's all you got to do. Just you know, have enough to fill up the mines and all that stuff. It's actually going to be a lot more difficult than that. You might be able to get lucky and have a really good day in which you sell enough that it really works out for you. But the easier way to do this is to first place a second trade depot. Go ahead and upgrade it the same way we did this one, which is to have 4 pallets of the raw ore, and then change the manage global market deliveries to use local. What we're going to do is right when that clock hits 12 a.m., we're going to launch our, it should have built up these the trade depots all the way to 80 tons. We're going to launch it into full-on sell mode at 12 a.m., and then we're going to have ourselves a very quick route all the way up to 160. So that is the strategy here in order to upgrade it the first time. And once we upgrade it the first time, that's, again, I know I've said this a couple times now, but that's when it gets fun, because then we can unlock smelting, which unlocks alloys and all kinds of other good stuff that's going to make us tons of money. So let's go ahead and wait for us to make enough money to place a second trade depot, and then we're off to the races. So I thought better of it. What are you going to do? So my plan originally was I was going to create the trade depots, have them fully full, have the mines completely stocked with their resource, and then switch them off of local mode into export mode and sort of artificially pump the market full of your resource, which will get you over that 160k profit. I decided to add the second coal mine here, or this first coal mine rather, here, just because of the fact that I realized that it was going to be pretty close in terms of whether I would hit 160 or not. And as you can see, I missed it very slightly. That's like 3 to 4 deliveries. It wasn't that big of a deal. But, you know, it was more efficient. It's more efficient just to do it this way. So I will demonstrate that right now. So let's go ahead and switch these trade depots to export, and we should be off to the races. So let's go ahead and sim. And hey, look at that. We even knocked it out before dinner time. So let's go ahead and upgrade our HQ, which makes it nice and big and pretty, I think. Maybe not. Make sure that you create the smelting division, not the commerce or engineering division, because I've made that mistake before and you can't take it back. So go ahead and make the smelting division. Costs 200k. It's well worth the costs though. And then you go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just take out a couple of bonds to fund my smelting plants. And that is where the money really starts rolling in. So let's go ahead and create that. We're going to switch these trade depots over to alloy, because this actually makes metal or alloy. Alloy is more, it fetches a higher price than metal, and also it is going to be one of the key components of processors, which is what we're going to eventually get in. So let's go ahead and continue to create those alloy furnaces. And I believe this is a metal furnace. We'll go ahead and leave it in for now just because of the fact that we don't have any money here. But let's switch these trade depots over to use locally for those resources, so that they deliver straight over to the smelting plant. And then once we're able to do that, we're going to go ahead and delete 2 on each of them, which actually we can probably just go ahead and delete one of them completely. Switch over coal and raw ore on these bad boys, so that we always are going to have resources for the smelting factory and also the ability to sell the alloys. So let's go ahead and let it sim for a little bit, make a little bit of money, and then we'll be right back on it. So as you can see, we had a little bit of a power snafu, which put our smelting production a little bit behind schedule and threatened our ability to really perform as an industry town. But with this smelting factory, as long as you're able to keep it producing alloy and or metal, you're going to be making a significant profit, and that's going to let you continue to upgrade the rest of your city. And that's the biggest way to make money in the early game. Now I'm going to go ahead and, once it delivers this metal that it's building up here, and we're going to create a little bit of a less of bottleneck here by increasing the number of delivery trucks that we have. Once we're able to sell off this metal, I'm going to remove the metal plant from this and switch this completely over to alloy. So it's going to the alloy is the higher yield, and metal isn't really required unless you're building something like an archaeology or something like that. And you could even get metal from a recycling plant as well. You can get alloy from recycling too, but I prefer not to have to rely on the recycling because it can be hit and miss in that sense. So I definitely would recommend going through the smelting route for your alloy, especially considering that it can consistently produce something that that really delivers a lot of profit to your city. Now we have enough capacity in terms of our mining to do at least 2 smelting factories. So in order to maximize our profit here, since we have more of resources than we do of capacity to produce the next level of product, I'm going to go ahead and build a second smelting factory, completely upgrade that one as well. And from there, we're going to work on increasing the education of our city. Now, I have, to this point, not built a single school, which I'm sure thrills my population. But once we're able to start building schools and get towards high-tech industry, I believe you only need to get to medium technology. Once you get to medium technology, you're able to start building processor factories, and that is where the real money in this game starts rolling in. Now, this is good money, what we were making here. As you can see, we're losing money per day. That's going to be resolved pretty soon when I upgrade the rest of the city. But we're going to work on, building up the getting to the processors, and then eventually to the TVs, and that's how you make millions in this game. And that can really help you build whatever kind of city you want. You're going to need to have, in my opinion, an industry city that makes you a lot of money off the bat, because if you don't have that, it's going to be very difficult to, be able to sustain the losses that you get initially from casinos or tourism or anything like that. If you're able to really, just say, oh, I'm losing a little money, I'm going to toss over, or, I had a bad event in coming out of my stadium or something like that. Oh, well, I can just toss my other city 18 million, and not even think about it. It's a whole lot easier. So I would highly recommend you start the city out like this and, work your way up to being able to have those TVs and processors.